every interview I've ever done will age well. Because I know I've only spoke truth to matter. I've only spoke fact. I've only spoke about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen.
What is going to? Because I look at. I mean, is Iran and was it Lebanon? Are they?
They failed, didn't they? If you look at what happened, the Red Green Alliance, the alliance of the Islamists with the far left. When I say the far left, I'm not talking about the average person who's left wing, because I don't. Left wing politics healthy. Right wing politics healthy. I think anyone you stop will share some parts of the left, some parts of the right, which unfortunately now you have to hate each other. Yeah. That's where we've come in society. You have to hate them, they have to hate you. But far left politics, the far left have aligned, and when I say the far left, the staunch communists and Marxists who wish to break the entire system to rebuild it. Yeah? They need to break the system. Now, well, who's going to align with them to break the system? The Islamists. Because they all want to break the system. They want to replace it with Sharia law, and they want a communist state. So as we saw in Lebanon, and history, why don't we learn from history?
Yeah, Iran as well.
Iran. So the left, so anyone listening, the left aligned with the terrorists and the jihadists, and they worked together to bring down the system, to break down the country. It's what you're seeing on these Hamas demonstrations, okay? You're seeing the communists and Marxists, they're all joined with the Islamists, they're all friends all of a sudden. And the far right, the Nazis, they all come together. They all hate Jews, so they're all together. They're all, like Nick Griffin sitting around a table with Muslim radicals now, all having a laugh at that, because they hate the Jews. So they're all coming together, and as they come together, as they did in Lebanon, as they did in Iran, they overthrow, and who gets killed first? The left. Yeah. They killed them all, you morons. They're going to execute you. You're siding with people who despise you. Jihad is not just for Jews. Jihad's for every non-Muslim, including you lot. You communist, Marxist knobs. It's like, I just don't think, have you not looked at history? Have you not learned a single thing? There's 55 countries in the world, 45 countries in the world that Islam has come into as a minority, and then it's dominated and it's caused war. There's not one single country in our history that has peacefully coexisted. Ever. Why do you think Europe's going to be any different? You morons. Afghanistan, 99% of the Muslims in Afghanistan want Sharia law. What do you think? 100 of them come to the border and they leave it behind. They come into the country, as you'll see in our new documentary, and they bring those intolerant medieval views of women with them. Don't leave it. And then when you allow the funding to come from Saudi Arabia, Qatar are the biggest exporters of terrorism in the world. Qatar, who houses Hamas's leaders. Qatar, who sat there and is given nearly £1 billion to Islamist radical organisations throughout Europe to grow the mindset of Islam, to take over. It's funded. I remember I went for Al Jazeera is the mouthpiece of Qatar. I went for an interview at Al Jazeera. To get into their building, you have to go through airport style security. Yeah, there was a terrorist attack the week before. And I sat down and said, you cheeky bastards. Yeah, you are causing all this terrorism, your country, your funding. You're doing all this and then you're sitting in here, your palace with all your security, while we're out walking the streets, waiting for the next jihad attack that you played your part in. They orchestrated, Iran, Qatar orchestrated the attacks on October 7th. They've orchestrated time and time again, jihad across Europe. And it's not going to stop. It goes up every year. As the Islamic demographic increases, the birth rate increases, the demographic, the open border immigration, the more Islam, the less freedom. And then we even make a decision. Do you want an Islamic Europe or do you want a Christian Europe? Do you want a Europe that looks a bit like it does now? What do you want Britain to look like? I don't want Britain to look like Saudi Arabia. I don't want to. And I will do everything in my power to awaken the public. I'm not saying I can stop it. I'm one man, but I can awaken people and make sure people understand what the future looks like. And I truthfully believe that if every British person understood truthfully what the future is going to look like for their children in a decade's time, there'd be a revolution tomorrow, a peaceful revolution. But there has to be a response to what we see. To what we're seeing is totally against the interests of the British public. It's against the interests of British people, as in the decisions our governments are making, the globalist decisions that they make, the open border mass immigration, the replacement of European people. It's totally, and again, all these conspiracy theorists. No, there's a 177-page United Nations document on population replacement. It's planned. They just tried to bat us all off as conspiracy theorists, thinking the majority of you won't take 2 minutes to research what they're doing. They're very open about it. But that
conspiracy, in its traditional form, as far as I'm aware, the idea was that the Jews wanted to bring in Muslims to replace white people.
That's the far right. Yeah. Deep held belief,
which is insane, because if you know any Jews, that's the last thing they want to do.
Well, look at the Jews. So basically, you don't want the Jews to have Israel. Europe's being flooded. The Jews are the most persecuted people at the hands of Islam because it's Saturday first, then Sunday. Kill the Jews, then kill the Christians. So the Jews are... Mein Kampf, Hitler's book, is 7% Jew hatred. The Quran is 11. Okay? That's before we even go into the life of Muhammad and what he had to say, other than the Quran. Yeah? So, but I'd say it's the oligarchy, the elite. I wouldn't say it's the Jews, and I have this argument all the time. Yeah? They're not all Jewish. Some of them are, but they're not all Jewish. I looked at the voting patterns or the funding patterns of Hollywood because people say the Jews is Hollywood. So 50% of Hollywood is Jewish. Yeah? But out of Hollywood, 98% of the people funded Democrats. So is it because they're Jews? Or is it simply because the other half of Hollywood are pushing the same agenda? Or is it because of their left-leaning views or their ideological view of what they want? I wouldn't say it's to do with Judaism. And I have this disagreement many times. I get called a race traitor, a Zionist. People make the allegation I'm funded by Israel just because I don't hate Jews. Yeah, is the Israeli government perfect? No. Do I think the American government under Biden and Kamala Harris represents the interests of the American people? No. What was the most vaccinated country in the world? Israel. So they've stuffed the vaccine in all their own people's arms. So I don't believe the representation of countries represents the people. I love the American people. I love the Jewish people of Israel when I went there. I love the British public. I differentiate those who are controlling us and those who are destroying our nations to the average person.
Are you funded by Mossad?
Never had Mossad. If you're watching, give me some money, man. I'm currently okay. So I had this, and do you know what they say? They say that I was funded by Zionists. I worked for Rebel Media in 2015. What's that? Nearly a decade ago. Yeah? Rebel Media received funding from a gentleman called Bob Shulman. I've never met Bob Shulman, never had a discussion. He's a tech billionaire, apparently, from the United States. So he used to donate to Rebel Media. I worked for Rebel Media. I got $5,000 or whatever a month, from Rebel Media. That's my wage. So do you receive money from advertisement on YouTube?
Yeah.
You're funded by the Jews. Because who owns YouTube? Two Jewish Zionists.
Isn't it?
So, yes. So the Alphabet company, but the two main men. So this is the argument to those people who say I'm funded by Jews because I receive money off Rebel Media. Anyone who receives any advertisement off of YouTube, you could say the same argument. Yeah.
Oh, obviously, I agree. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous.